Hello my YouTube family, and thank you for clicking on my video. I am going to tell you a very true story that happened to me. Make no mistake about it, because it could happen to any of you tomorrow morning. All I ask of you, my friends, is two things. Listen to this story till the end, and if you agree with me, please like and subscribe to my channel, because I am here to help you. I've left my private email on my channel info, and as always, I will email you back in your hour of need. Okay, let's get started. I was in a relationship from April 2014 until November 2022. It started off brilliant. We loved each other and went everywhere together. She fell pregnant after 9 months, and we had a beautiful little son in October 2015. Things went well for the next year, but I started to notice changes in her. She started to become very toxic and violent for some reason. She just became a different woman to the person I had met. Things got worse and worse, but I stayed with her because I loved my son to bits. She had 3 kids when I met her, all from different fathers. But that did not bother me because when you fall in love with a woman and you want to take care of her forever, you have to be prepared to do the same for her kids. And vice versa. Anyway, as the years went on, I noticed her mood swings were getting worse and worse. I knew 1,000,000% after about 3 years that she was suffering from MPD, but she denied it over and over again. I tried to help her, but she would not listen. So the years rolled on, and I stayed with her hoping she would change and get professional help, but her outbursts just got worse. I was sitting at home on the 7th of November 2022. It was a cold, dark, rainy winter's evening. It was coming up to 5 p.m., and I was wondering why she was so late with the school run. Suddenly a knock came to my front door. It was 2 police officers. I thought there had been an accident, but when I opened the door they handed me a piece of paper. I asked, "What is this?" They replied, "You are requested to be in court on the 10th of November, which was 3 days later." I thought it was a prank. They told me it was no prank as they escorted me out of my own house. I was totally stunned. I could not believe what had just happened. The rain was so heavy I asked the Garda, would they please let me into the station for a while because I needed to phone family and friends as I had nowhere to go. I got to the police station and started ringing everybody that I knew, but nobody had room to put me up for it. Couple of nights until I found out what in God's name was going on. One minute I was sitting at home drinking a cup of tea, and the next I was on the street with nowhere to go. I just broke down in tears. I was crying like a baby because I had not a clue in the world what was happening to me. Before I left the police station, it came into my head to put a short message on Facebook asking for help, but no reply. I had nowhere to go, so I decided to sleep under the local bridge. At least I would be out of the rain. The next day, which was the 8th of November, I stopped a friend and begged him to bring me up to the courthouse on Thursday morning and told him that I had to be there at 9 a.m. He could not believe what had happened to me and agreed to drive me up no problem. I showed up at court that Thursday morning and made a huge mistake as I stood in front of that judge. My friend had told me to just walk in and plead no contest, which I did not know what it meant. Plus, I had no solicitor because I had no money and had only 2 days from the date I was taken from my home. It turned out that no contest means that I am agreeing to what she had said, and I am not agreeing to what she said, and I do not wish to fight my case. I just wanted to get in and out of that court as fast as possible because my head was wrecked. As we were driving back to the town I lived in, my phone beeped. It was a message from a friend that had only seen my Facebook message that morning. The message read, "Come over to my house, Kenny. I will help you out for a while. I have a spare room. Well, thank the Lord above for that." I could not believe that I finally had a roof over my head. That message was like winning the lotto. It meant the world to me. I got to his house and he told me that he could put me up for a week or so until I found somewhere to stay. I spent all of that week, every single day, going to the local council, but was told lies as the days went on. That week turned into 2 weeks, and those 2 weeks turned into 5 months. By that time, I was hitting the drink big time and fell into a serious depression. I just could not get my little son out of my head. He was 7 by now, and I seriously missed simple things like tucking him into bed every night and kissing him on the forehead saying goodnight. One night I got so drunk I was heading for the river. I could not take it anymore, but thank God that friend of mine that had taken me in stopped me. I remember my little son passing me many times on the street in his mother's car, banging the windows and screaming to get out to me. This was absolutely driving me crazy, and I was losing myself more and more. My brain was completely fried thinking about my son and what was going on in his little head. It was now March 2023, and the only thing that mattered to me now was my son. I gathered some money together from local charities and decided to appeal and reopen my case. I hired a solicitor, and the court date was for March 28th. I entered that courtroom that morning and stood up in front of the judge. My ex was there too. It was the same judge. I said, "Your Honor, I made a serious mistake at my previous court hearing back in November the 10th, 2022. I told him that I did not know what nitrogen monoxide contest meant, and that I was not represented that morning. The very words the judge said was, 'You have an awful cheek standing here before me after admitting to your crimes.' I said, 'Your Honor, I did not know why I was in court that morning. I had done nothing wrong, and my head was completely wrecked. I apologize.' He told me that he was willing to give me one chance to prove myself. He ordered me to go off and do an X-month course on anger management and a parenting course. I did not know what he meant, but my solicitor told me afterwards. The case was adjourned for 7 months. I left the courthouse that morning, and within minutes, I started making phone calls about these courses. But my luck was against me once more. There was only one parenting course within a 50-mile radius, and there was a 6-month waiting list. I contacted multiple private counselors about the anger management sessions, which I did not need to begin with. But I finally got one, which was €100 for a 1-hour session per week. That was half of my weekly benefits, but I did not care. I showed up in court 7 months later without the parenting course done because of the backlog. The judge was not very happy, but my solicitor begged him for one last court date to get the course done. Thank God he agreed. So my final hearing was in July 2024 last year, and as I stood up in front of that judge, I decided to take a huge gamble. A gamble that could have thrown the whole case out the door, but I had gone through so much I just went for it. I told the judge everything. Everything about my ex and how violent she was. I told him what I had told my solicitor, my private counselor, and my own doctor many years before. I told him that when my ex was 8 months pregnant on my son that she had threatened to drive into the river and I would never get to see my son. She was questioned, but broke down in tears and could not say a word. I also told him a number of other incidents which had happened over that 8-year relationship. I knew I had her, and the case was over. The barring order was dropped, and the judge just looked at me and smiled as if to say, "Thank God you stood up and talked." I honestly left the courtroom that day feeling the proudest man in the world, but the hardest part was yet to come for me. I will never ever forget that day back in July 2024 when I finally got to meet my son again after 21 months. He just jumped up into my arms with excitement, but I just broke down with happiness. I cried for at least 20 minutes. Now I have custody and can see my son whenever I want. I could have took her to the cleaners that day and got her prison time, but I am not that kind of man. I now have sleepovers with my son. We can go wherever we want and walk hand in hand like a father and son or daughter should be able to do. A special thanks to my local mayor, because I have my very own 2-bedroom house, and I have made it from the bottom of that barrel to the top. Remember, my friends, that you can do it too. Just remember the name of my channel, Never Give Up. Never give up on what you believe in, my friends, and thanks if you watched this video till the end. May the Lord bless you and keep you safe.